What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of Tattoo Talk with Bryan Briggs. I know there are other Tattoo Talk podcasts out there, but this one is mine, and I appreciate you for tuning in to hear what I have to say every week. It's been pretty cool to be able to meet different people from all over this way, and appreciate you just for listening. I know a lot of you are in your 0 to 5 years of tattooing, and I'm about to hit my 9th, so I'm just trying to spread the information that I can verbally. There's a lot of stuff you have to see, and as far as technique and stuff, but a lot of, I guess, what I direct towards is people that are already pretty decent tattooers, but maybe just need a little bit of tips and nudging from a mentor every now and then. So I think that's the people that kind of get the most for me every week. It's already the second week of January now, and I've been doing a ton of consultations. That's always my biggest focus anyways, is always trying to do a bunch of consultations, because the more consultations you do, the more you can book, and the more tattoos you get, the more booked you are, the more you're technically worth, and the more you could charge. The less you could do, the more you could focus on tattoos that you really want to do, or do less stuff and less tattoos and do more paintings and stuff like that too, which is something that I've been into lately. And I noticed a lot of people start getting more into it later on in their tattoo career. If you're just always working at street shops and stuff, and you're looking for that artistic outlet, it's a really good way to find that without it needing to be something that you have to find a paying client to do on. So you can have total freedom with it too. I just really like exploring different art mediums, because it's really freeing. You don't have to restrict yourself to just what the client wants or what has to be done, because I do a lot of cover-ups, so sometimes it's just you're doing something that has to be done, that's very limited options or something. So what I did to start out the month this month personally was I took my 10 favorite tattoos from the year. That's how many Instagram will maximum allow you to post in one post. So I took my favorite 10 that were all kind of the same style or theme. They were all watercolor-ish looking, or abstract kind of, or cover-ups, a lot of stuff like that. It's all in one. I try to limit it more and more now. So if I'm gonna make a post because I do a lot of black and gray stuff as well, realistic stuff, but I'll just make a separate post completely for those ones. I've noticed that if you try not to dilute your post too much, and you make it really particularly for one person that wants one style in each post, that you get a lot better of a response. So when I took these 10 tattoos for this post, I chose ones that were all in the same category, instead of taking a piece of each kind of different style that I do, which I do 3 different styles basically. And I notice other people do even less styles. Sometimes they have one really unique thing that they make, and that's all they do. And everybody to each their own though. Some people are happy just doing walk-ins, and then they do brand themselves as one style more when they go to conventions. And then some people are the opposite. I was just watching a different podcast, the Fireside Tattoo podcast. If you've never heard of that one, you should check it out, because that guy has a lot of good stuff on there. He's got a really quality podcast, and he gets to interview a lot of people at conventions and stuff, and they have some interesting perspectives on just everything, and that was one thing that the last episode I watched from him that I thought was really cool, is he was saying how he goes to conventions and kind of does whatever people request, and at home he's more known for kind of one unique niche style. And the other guy that he was interviewing was the opposite. At home he does more walk-ins, and whoever walks in he tattoos and does whatever they request. And then at the convention he's doing a more unique his own style, kind of stuff. So um, anyways, I guess all I was getting at there is just like everybody has their own way of like being happy, you know, like you don't have to just like subject yourself to this one thing always or whatever, you know, like you can find an outlet for it all one way or the other. But this is just one, though I'm just sharing my like advertising like technique, I guess, or it's not even a technique, it's just this is what I'm doing. I'm just sharing it in real time so I can kind of like tell you, I guess, what I do by showing you what I do or whatever. And I'm not like balling and shit, but like at the same time, you know, like you're making a decent living. I'm in a private studio by myself. It's in the middle of like a kind of isolated area in the middle of Michigan. I was not born or raised here, you know, so I just wanted to like share this kind of story, and then like I think I have along the way in the podcast, and now I'm at the point where I'm trying to share like the upkeep on it and just how like it's possible to just keep it going and keep the momentum building. So anyways, I took my 10 tattoos that were all in this one niche style, and I do that because I'm in a custom like private studio. I'm not in a walk-in shop where people just can get anything, because I've kind of limited myself over the last few years to just kind of doing these things I'm best at. So I just market myself as those things too. So when I'm posting it, what I did, I put like a 50-mile radius on this last one, and the demographic between like 23 and 45 in age, both male and female. I didn't put any interests because like sometimes that could be good if you have like a big enough scope. Like I've advertised in bigger cities and found that putting interests can be a good thing, but in this more rural area, it's more important to just go like vast. People are willing to travel a few hours even in this state to get here to get a good tattoo in the style like from somebody that specializes in it, rather than just trying to get it from somebody who's gonna attempt it for their first time. You know, watercolor is not like easy. Cover-ups aren't easy, and neither is realistic black and gray. Those are all like specialized styles that I've chosen to do for a reason, because I get people that like want what I create with that stuff. So basically the way I seen it is putting $100 into this ad though, to find these people for just this. My favorite stuff is just this watercolor stuff, and I use it for cover-ups too, you know, so it's kind of 2-in-1 kind of thing. So I put $100 into these 10 pictures in that kind of demographic, like I was saying, 50 miles. And you know, the way I look at it is like I charge $100 for a deposit, so one person comes in for a deposit, and made my money back on this ad. And you know, that's already happened. So I've scheduled like multiple consultations from this ad already too. It's just about like putting your personality into it and making it like informative but also passionate, you know, like you don't want to like just leave it the pictures to tell the story. You want to make your words tell the story as well, and make it to, you know, like think about what kind of person you want to get tattooed by, and that's what kind of person you should, you know, like strive to be. Present yourself as that person too, you know, because not everybody is going to see you as that right away, but if you are the one that's narrating your story, which you can do now that we have the internet and everything, you could be the one that narrates your own story. So why not tell your story in the way that it you know, it needs to be told for these people to come and trust you, you know, like, and you should be doing the things to build that trust, like specializing more in a style so that you can you have more evidence of like I'm really good at this, you know, like. So yeah, just don't be afraid to like kind of share your personality. Some people aren't gonna like it, and some people aren't gonna like your work even if it's good. Sometimes like cover-ups are really hard. People are gonna see little mistakes or things that it's a process, and sometimes it takes multiple sessions even, and people are going to judge it early. And if you share it, you know, or if your client shares a picture, and you're going to get some negative comments on your work as you're learning certain styles. If you're sharing it, anything you're sharing, you're probably going to get somebody that thinks something negative, and there's a chance they're going to say it on your post. And you can't let that affect you just as much as you also, on the other hand, can't let the positive stuff really affect you either, because people are going to fill your head with lies too and try to tell you that you're the best in the world. And it's just because they don't have like a huge standard. They don't have like any knowledge on how good tattoos can really be. So you need to hold yourself to a higher standard, and at the same time, you know, not beat yourself up when people really like are hard on you. There's always another day to learn, you know, like there's always a chance to get better. So yeah, so I guess we can go. This is kind of just like my beginning intro segment, and I just kind of like filling you guys in, you know, on these 2 weeks, and it's been chill. Like I had a lot of big projects, and then I had a couple cancellations. People filled them for me, so everything's been going really smooth now. But yeah, so like I said, I'm just trying to share these kind of like little things I do throughout the week that maybe are helping me, or maybe I don't see a lot of people doing. So yeah, it's just that's an option, just something to think about. Definitely invest more into your advertising. Like I need to do more even too. I always am like, dang, I only spent that much. I need to spend more in advertising. Because the more I spend in advertising, the more people come in for those little niche things that I like to do. And they're traveling from further, they're hitting me up from further away, so I know they're serious, they're putting money down. Those are kind of clients you want to work with, and you can't really find them just through word of mouth always, you know, or if you can, then it's going to take a lot longer, because if you're putting some, you know, you're putting a few $100s a month at least into ads, you're going to run into a lot of people that you would have never ever met, for sure. I've met a lot of people I would have never run into because of social media. So, social media can be bad too. I guess that brings me to the next segment of the tattoo talk here is, wanted to talk about some of these like scams that have been happening for conventions lately. And if you haven't heard about it, there's been two that I've heard about recently. One was the Mayan Mayhem Tattoo Convention, which you may have heard of. This is supposedly in Mexico. The way I heard about it even actually was from the website tattooawards.com. I've been trying to put my stuff on there, maybe win an award. You guys should try it too if you have tattoos. It's like free to enter a bunch of contests, and you get ranked like among like, you know, the thousands of tattoo artists in the world that put their work on there and stuff. So I don't know how accurate it is or whatever, but anyways, it's just kind of fun to put your stuff on there and see other people's work too. And I know a lot of legit tattoo conventions invite this website to come and do the award ceremonies for their convention. So they'll come through and sponsor conventions even, and rent booths and put artists in them and stuff like this. So it's like a legit company, you know, and they're even like their awards are always sponsored by other like legit companies like ink and different inks and different supply companies, you know. So so it's all like they run together, you know. But and then everything was always kind of like, I don't know, I haven't heard about a lot of these scam ones, right? But then something like this happens where it's like, let me just finish the first part. Like, I heard about it on the tattooawards.com website because they were giving away like a all expense paid vacation, and like the resort at this Mayan Mayhem tattoo convention was in like Mexico at a all inclusive resort. And I was like, damn, that sounds cool. You know, they give you a booth, and they give you a hotel, they pay for your flight and all that shit. I didn't win, obviously. I don't even know who did win, but whoever won didn't get shit anyways, because they ended up canceling the convention like a few days or a day before the shit actually happened, People were flying in. They were in flight when they heard it was getting canceled. Like coming from all over the world, Switzerland, crazy shit like that, all the way to Mexico. People had spent. I've heard of people losing up to $7,000. That they were spending to get there and to stay, and to have like multiple booths and bring other artists and stuff like that. So, I just think that's pretty. That's pretty different. You know what I mean? That was like pretty shocking to me to see. It was kind of like Fire Festival or something for tattoo artists, and I don't really know about who was running it or whatever, and I don't know what happened, and who knows what the problem was or if people are getting refunded or whatever. But I'm sure they'll get sued probably if not, or they should, because that's not right to just take away from tattoo artists like that. A lot of tattoo artists aren't like balling where they can just like afford to just like lose 3 to 5K or something on investing into one of these like foreign conventions or whatever. So then recently I hear about another one, and this is more recent in Columbus, Florida. I think is the place that they were gonna do this one, and I just seen it in Tattoo Shop Talk, the group. I don't know if you guys are in this Facebook group. There's a lot of tattoo artists in this group. If you're not, it's really good actually. Group like these. Sometimes people are kind of mean on there, but that's just tattoo artists in general, I think. So if you can handle that, like you can ask anything on there, and some people are gonna tell you shit that you don't want to hear, and some people are gonna be really like helpful, and other people are going to be haters. But it's a good resource sometimes, I think, for especially younger artists, but because there's a lot of like older or more like experienced artists that are actually sharing knowledge in there a lot. And if you go back really far in the group, then you're going to find some really really good shit that helped me actually a lot in not just like marketing and that kind of stuff, but actual like technique stuff they talk. So it's kind of an interesting group to be in. But yeah, they were talking in there about this Columbus festival, and like one guy was talking about how he lost like a few $1,000s or something as like a sponsor even. So even the sponsors were losing money at this convention, and yeah, it's just really sad, to see, because I know that it's going to build like a distrust amongst the tattoo community for new tattoo conventions. And it's already really hard in the first like year to 3 years to get a really good convention going and stuff, like some places are really lucky. When I went to the All-American Tattoo Convention in Fayetteville, North Carolina, they're right next to Fort Bragg, and that's like, places like that are a dream come true for tattoo conventions. You could bring artists from all over every year and fill that place with clients. I think it was a pretty nice convention in my opinion, and that was only like their second or third year doing it. So I think location's a big part of it too. But who knows why these people failed? Who knows? But it's not looking like people are gonna get their money back and stuff. So as far as what I've heard so far, so it really hurts the tattoo industry. And well, I hate saying that, but like just the community in general, like us as artists, as tattoo artists, are, like I said, are gonna be like less trusting of these ones. And like I was hoping like we could get more of these kind of conventions going and stuff, but it's gonna be kind of a stain for a little bit, I think, if we keep seeing this happening, like it's gonna be harder. So I guess just like you really need to be selective when you're picking out conventions that you want to work at. How long have they been there, and like how much how much are you at risk to lose basically if they just like just shut it down the night before and it doesn't happen. You could lose thousands sometimes, so because I've done a few conventions, and like the more expensive ones, they could be quite a bit, but like if you're going to like Villain Arts tattoo convention. If you've never heard of those, that's like a company that throws like the major conventions in like California, New York, and basically everywhere now. They do like a whole circuit all across the world, I think, and that's like a good one. I've heard of a lot of their booths going for like $750, and you get it there for 3 days. So the cost of the whole thing can be like pretty fair if you go to one like that, I think, and that Villain's not gonna be like dead. Like they do a good amount of advertising, and it's a legit company. They have good sponsors. They have other big artists coming that have big followings, so they draw in a lot of people that are interested in tattoos. And they can't pay for those kind of guys' prices and stuff like that anyway, so they end up going to other people that have similar styles. The artists, you can get a booth for $750 for like 3 days. You have to pay maybe $100 a night for Airbnb if you know how to work that. If you rent a car, even it's like another $40 a night. Food, gas, it could run anywhere between like $1,200-$1,500, maybe even more. But the cool thing about doing conventions too is that like if you're uh, doing tax write-offs, because you should be, because usually taxes for tattoo artists, it's like a 1099, so you're an independent contractor, so that means you can make write-offs like a small business can. And if you're like in a private studio like I am or whatever, then it's kind of like the same deal, so it's like something that you could write off at the end of the year as well, so it's like a business expense, considered a business trip, and yeah, that could be a really positive thing, like going to these conventions. But and I think like it's a fair deal, but then some people take these chances to go to these more extravagant ones that people are trying to build like these, like, I'm just like iffy about anything like that now, like any kind of like destination, like fucking paradise tattoo show or something, like I gotta see it work a few times, I think. And even then sometimes, like I think Mayhem or whatever, Mayan Mayhem, it's a tongue twister. I think that one actually had happened like more than once already, so it's kind of sketchy sometimes, you never know if someone's just going to run off with all the money. But Villain Arts has never done that, and I know All American Tattoo Expo has never done that. I'm going to do the Modesto Tattoo Expo in California. I know the guy that runs that. They do the Fresno Expo too in California as well, so they've never done anyone dirty, like I guess you just gotta like pull people's cards kind of and like check, like really ask people, like I don't know, like it's like because it could be a bit of an investment, especially for like a up and comer who's trying to just start traveling and do more conventions and stuff. Like it can kind of be a little bit of a roadblock, if you get burnt off like $2,000 and that was every dollar you had, you were just gonna invest into going on this trip or whatever, and then you get burned on it. So just be really careful where you're investing your money and your time, and make sure you're going to the right conventions. I heard most of like best conventions that I've heard of are like invite only now, like Space City I've heard is a really good one. That's down in Alabama, I believe, and that's supposed to be like a really good show where the guy like takes care of people, make sure people are coming in and get tattooed and stuff. So but they've been able to like double their size from what I've heard, and like they're gonna bring in twice as many vendors this year. Really cool, to see people that are doing good stuff for the tattoo community and taking care of others. As far as I've seen, like it's just good to see them like grow and keep making bigger and bigger shows and stuff like that. So I want to get involved with more people that have a vested interest in like the artist and the client, like just making it a pleasant experience for everybody. And I've been to some pretty cool shows so far, and The one that I did tattoo at that was a villain art show was in New York City, and it was like right in Manhattan, and there was like they they took 3 stories of the Hilton, and it was just like a really badass show. Crazy amount of people coming through, so a lot of opportunities to talk to people. Conventions, you really have to kind of be that way. I think you have to like have uh, the ability to talk to people, or you have to have a really drawing style, like a style that really like brings people over, and you have to advertise that well with like pictures and like banners and stuff that show that unique style specifically, and that's how you're going to get more kind of people at those conventions. If you're not marketing something particular, then they get a little confused sometimes, and a confused client is not usually a client that's going to buy. So when you're at conventions, a lot of times they do seminars, and I didn't do any at the first couple I went to, but then what I did last year is I traveled to Detroit 2 days in a row. Like I went to Detroit, drove back home, and I live like a couple of hours away, and then I went back the next day for another seminar, and then I came back home. I took the Brian Sanchez and the Bob Tyrell seminars, and those were really influential to me. So I've been doing a lot of them since then, or I've been trying to do more of them since then. I lined them up. I tried to do a Carl Grace one, but someone's family got sick or something that weekend, and he wasn't able to do it. And then the next one I was able to make was the last one that I just did with Chris Dingwell. It was like a 2-day seminar. I really think that you should do seminars if you can, and if you could afford them, or if you could make it to them. You should always try to go to the ones that you want to go to. Don't just go to any of them, but go to the ones that interest you. And like remember that's also could be a tax write-off of it. Like you always have to think about those kind of things, because at the end of the year, I'm not trying to give you like legal advice or whatever, but like like definitely if you're pulling in a good income, you should get advised by some kind of tax expert or attorney or something like that. But I could tell you that's what I do. I write off a lot of those trips and stuff, so definitely it works, and it's a cool way to be able to go do that stuff. And if you have the capital to invest it, to know that like in the end it's going to help me on my taxes, so I don't have to pay as much at the end of the year anyways. So you kind of, instead of paying it to the state or federal or whatever, you're paying for a class. Wouldn't you rather pay for a trip and a class than just pay it to taxes anyways? So yeah, that's just what I do though. It's not like legal advice at all, just a disclaimer. But man, it's been like a crazy, I don't know, it's just been crazy thinking about that. I'm like, man, I'm really lucky with these conventions so far, and they all used to be legit, so it's kind of like different now, where there's like a lot of scams, a lot of stuff online that people can make stuff look pretty legit, and then it's not, and everybody always acts like they're doing better than they are, so they're fake, sometimes, and they just be like, oh yeah, we're doing this great show and it's making so much profit and we're gonna do it forever, and really they're going under, and they owe money from it, and their credit's going bad now, and they're screwed unless this next show goes great, and then that one doesn't go great. Everyone's expecting the third one, and it doesn't happen. So careful who you're working with. Make sure you vet your sources whenever you're going to invest thousands of dollars into a situation like that. You want to make sure you're going to be working with somebody legit. So I still got some time, so I wanted to get into something else. The last time we got into a segment called Inside the Ink, and I just went and like kind of talked about a tattoo that I did recently, and so I figured I'd do that again, and we could talk about another cover up, because the last time that I talked to you guys, we talked about a cover up I did that was a scar cover up. And this time, I'm talking about one that I did a little bit before that was a different cover up. And So she came in, and I believe she had a name first, and then they tried to cover it with these stars here. So, see if I could get it focused on here. So if you check out my Instagram, if you're just listening on and you're not watching the video to this, then you'll see a picture with a couple of really colorful roses and some mandala type of background with some other like filigree type of stuff in there too. And really, like, the idea to cover this one was she was really open, and she showed me a lot of different reference and stuff, and I knew she just wanted something really colorful, and something had to break up that old piece. As you can see, it's quite dark. There's a name within the tattoo that they tried to cover before, but it didn't cover very well, and so it's a cover-up of a cover-up, basically. And the cover-up is basically within this spot here now, like there's a dark purple spot in the bottom of the rose, and I broke it up basically with a lot of thick line work and dark shading and texturing, and that's a pretty basic technique. Like, I went with this one, I went like with a really old school way of covering something like a rose. It's like basically like the one of the easiest things people think of whenever they're like, oh, I'm gonna cover this, with a rose. But I think that the trick with using a rose is not making it the main attraction of the tattoo, because it's a cover-up. If you just slap a rose over the top of an old tattoo, you're gonna see that old tattoo like a lot, But if there's a lot of other stuff going on and a lot of distraction going on, a lot of camouflage going on, basically, created by all this other fucking flow and lines and distraction and stuff, So it's not just the rose. If I would have just done the one rose right over the old dark cover-up tattoo, then it wouldn't really be as distracting. It wouldn't be as good, right? So sometimes the trick is elaborating on the piece, and a lot of people just want something that's going to go right over it. But once they see that you've done a lot of different things that involved going bigger and getting a little crazier, and they're going to appreciate like what you're talking about. So also a big thing that builds trust with these pieces is designing digitally. Like, a lot of my old stuff that I would try to like show people, like, oh, this is how we're gonna cover up this tattoo. I would be like trying to show them like a line drawing that I have on a piece of tracing paper or something like that, and I'd show it over their old tattoo. This is how it's gonna fit. This is how it's gonna work. And it's really hard to show somebody that knows nothing about art, like a piece of paper with lines on it, and have them expect them to like decipher that and be able to say like, yeah, that's gonna work or not. They don't know. They've never even they already have a shitty tattoo. They're just scared to death of ending up with another shitty tattoo. So the best way to show them, in my experience, has always been to, lately, since I've had the capability, I've always shown them a digital copy kind of like how it's gonna look. So I made this whole design digitally before I even met her for the day, colored in and everything. It was totally rendered, but there was a couple things that she did have to trust me on that weren't in the image that I drew. Like in the top rows, it's a little more realistic. It's less lines and stuff in it, and but it's multicolored still. So it's a little bit of a tricky thing to even explain, or to it takes a lot of time to do stuff like that digitally, to fully render a drawing. So it's kind of a basic version of it, and it always kind of is, but it really shows how that old tattoo is going to fit into the new tattoo, and where it's gonna, it builds confidence in the client. And then that's really good for you too to not have to worry about like, is this person like looking down every 5 seconds, sweating me, whether or not it's gonna cover it up or not. Um, Having a really fucking good plan too is number one with these cover ups. Like if you don't have a good plan, then you're screwed from the get go. And like, like that doesn't mean you can't like freehand something on that's gonna look amazing. You could do that too. That's also a good plan. But I'm talking about before you're putting the needle in there, you need to know how it's gonna work. And the best way I've found so far is through, you know, digital media basically, like whether it be Photoshop or Procreate or whatever. I use Procreate, so that basically I turned that into a little line drawing though, and I made a few sizes. We tried one on her, and if it like perfect over it where I wanted it to, we put it on there, and I just kind of like finished it as I went, and I used all that empty space. That's the thing about cover ups that I see a lot of people make mistakes on, is like around the old tattoo is so much empty space that could be used, so why not? And it doesn't have to be super dark over there either or anything, like I'm using, she wanted some mandala stuff and she wanted some of this more, I forget what that's called, but it's like a different kind of filigree, like, you'll probably know what it's called, but it's like a real feminine looking kind of thing, like a decorative thing. So I put a little bit of that on this side, a little bit of the mandala on the other side. I put the one that couldn't really, like, because it has lighter colors, the top rows, and it's like more realistic. I didn't want any of the cover up to be going through that section, so that is the fresh skin area as well. And the cover up is only in this area where there is the darkest purples, blacks, and like the heaviest line work over it. So it really breaks up that old stuff, and then all that other color and flow like really makes you look elsewhere. So I think that is like basically like a little rundown of a lot of what I do whenever I'm getting into a cover up. Similar kind of to the last one I talked about with the huge scar, in that, like it's all about planning, and application is kind of, it's obviously very important, but the plan beforehand is equally, if not more, important. So next time you're doing a cover up, if you're not designing digitally yet, maybe you should invest into some of that equipment and just try it out. It's a little bit of an investment for sure, but it saves you so much time whenever you're making designs too, or like making stencils even. And it's just like the future, like if you're not using it, it's really only going to hold you back. So I mean, not to say you should stop drawing or painting or doing any other version of art, but definitely it's another medium, and it streamlines your patterns. And if you made your pattern in another way, you need to resize it real quick. Makes it really easy without having to waste a bunch of paper on copies and stuff like that too. So yeah, really, I think that's all I have to say about that tattoo. And let's see how it heals and stuff, and maybe I could get a picture of it then and share it with everybody too. Pretty confident with that one. So I still got a cool little bit of time here. So this is I wanted to show you guys those batteries that I was talking about last week. I ordered a second one, and I figured since I'm in my tattoo booth here, as you can see, the background is a little bit different this week than normal. If you are not watching and you're just listening, I am unboxing. The first one right now is a battery that I got from what is it? I can't remember. The True Tubes guys, yeah. Out in Columbus while I was there doing convention, and I got one of these little box things. So this is a little like box shaped battery that sits in the back. I got the FK irons here. basically it's ready to just plug and go. So this one might be dead. It's been sitting there a while. My bad, guys. Whoops. Bad reviewer. So let me plug this guy in real quick while I pull out the other one. So unprofessional. Ooh. Oh well. Hang in there with me, folks. Okay, plugging in this one real quick. See if it'll charge like quickly for us while I try out this other one. And the other battery that I got from just like Amazon.com, and doesn't look like that's gonna. All right. Well, that one works, but works the same as this one. Yeah, that sucks. Can't get it to plug into my wall here. Oh, there it goes. Cool. Alright, so this is the other one. Sorry about the wait, guys. Hopefully you just fast forwarded and your life is grand right now. But so this one also just plugs right in, and this one is charged. I just checked that it worked. And you just hold the back button like that and it starts running. And it has like different settings right here, and you basically just, every time you click one, it has like one solid setting. The one thing that is good about the other battery is that, and it's unfortunate that I can't show it right now because it's just not charging in this port. But I know it does work because I've actually used this one before. But the thing that's good about it is that it will like do in between settings. So you could do like by 0.1, and the other one only has like, it only goes from like 6 volts, 7 volts, 8 volts, 9 volts, and 11 volts. And this one will go like 7, 7.1, 0.2, like a regular power supply. But the weight is a little bit different. Like in this one, it kind of like, yeah, it's not gonna work. It kind of like is a little bit of a hammer, you know, when you hold it on there. This is the one from the True Tubes company. And but it works really good. It lasted for like 5 hours, I think, when I was using it. So they're both pretty equivalent, I think, but this one definitely has better settings. If you want to get one that has more controlled settings, you like having a lot of control over that, or if you use, you know, volts like 6, 7, 8, 9, 11 or whatever, then maybe you go with the other one, you know, because it's a little bit, I think it's just a little bit better as far as like how it sits on the back there. And this one is the Rocket. A lot of guys are using that one. The Rocket is just a cheap one from China that comes, and you're able to use it for a real long time. There's other ones that are coming out. I haven't tried. Obviously, like FK Irons is coming out with one too. I don't know if you've heard about that, but that's gonna be like a $300 battery, and it like sits along the side here, so it looked like it had a little bit of a good like sit to it too. But like I don't know if it's gonna be worth that much of an investment. I do like the company a lot, so I think I might invest into that as well. But it really sucks that I have to pay that much for a battery that I know is not going to cost them that much. But that one looked like it was going to have similar settings to the Rocket though, where it was like pre-settings and not like where you can just pick like the voltage in between. So it's like, I don't know, it has its, every single one of them kind of have their advantage and disadvantage. The batteries are kind of something you're gonna have to try maybe a few of them. They're only like $30 though, if you, or $50 even sometimes, you know. You could get 2 for $100 from a lot of places, so it's worth a try just to try different ones out and feel like what you like, because instead of just buying like a few of one kind, like buy like one of different shapes and sizes, because you're gonna try to find the one that like fits your hand the best, because that can throw you off a little bit, having that little hammer hang off the end of your machine there. So apologize if any of that was like hard to understand for people that are just listening, but if you are, you can, you know, go over to YouTube and check out the video and you'll see kind of what I'm talking about here. Just fast forward to this part. All right, yeah, so that's kind of my update on the battery situation here. If I get any other ones, I'll definitely, you know, like show you guys or whatever. But I just got those two for now, and I've actually still been rocking the regular cord at home. So like it's not like something I plan on really using here. I probably will do it down the line, like when I travel, when I go to conventions. It's way easier to travel with just a battery pack like that, or a few of them. So I'll probably do it that way. So I also, last time I did one of these episodes, I was talking about wanting to get more into yoga, and I have been since then. And I think I've only missed like four days or so in the last 2 weeks since I made an episode. So I'm about halfway through my like 30-day challenge. I did miss a couple days, but it actually gets a little painful if you're doing it every day. So sometimes you gotta just listen to your body and take a break. But I feel like when I started, my shit was like cracking and breaking every time I was like moving or something. So I definitely wish I would have taken better care of myself like in the beginning of tattooing. And if you guys are just getting started and stuff, it's a really good time to just take inventory on yourself every day. Like take time for mental health and physical health, and like meditate. If you've never heard of meditation, you should really look into it, and you should really try it, and try it like for like a few weeks straight, not like one night. And same thing with exercise or yoga, you know, like you need to get your body active, because you spend so much of your life sitting in a chair and with a buzzing machine in your hand. And I think that a lot of tattooers either go one way or the other. They end up getting really into like physical activity type of things, or they end up going the total opposite, and they go like really fat and really like lazy, you know, and like go down a path that can lead you to just being really sad, depressed, or unhealthy, in pain and stuff like that. So that's all bad, you know, and you want to take care of yourself and make your career last as long as possible. I know my wrist started hurting a couple years ago. I switched over machines thinking that would help, and even still my wrists were hurting really bad. So it's something you have to like do all the time too. It's like taking a shower, you know, you have to take care of your physical health. So something that I have in mind for this year, and something that I'm gonna really try to like capitalize on, this feeling of like wanting better for myself in that way. So I hope that you can find some influence in that too, and hopefully do the same, and we can change the tattoo industry into like a more healthy industry. I think it is, you know, I see a lot of people that are like, even like they don't, you know, eat meat, or they like are like really, I don't know, just like into jujitsu and shit like that. There's a lot of different little small niche communities in the tattoo industry. So there's a lot of people that are in the exercise. They're like power lifter, tattoo artists and stuff that are taking steroids and stuff too. So you know, there's a little bit of everybody, but I think that it's important. Something that's important that's not said as much to amongst each other is to just like take care of yourself, you know. I think yeah, that's enough about that though, right? So I don't know what else to say. We're about an hour in, so I think that's a pretty good episode. I hope that you guys find something like, you know, quality out of this, and that you go ahead after this and do what we are talking about in the beginning, and make your ad. Grab your best tattoos, like start like narrowing your style down a little more. Think about how you can get more consultations, get booked out a little further, and then you'll be able to up your price based on supply and demand. You don't have to up your prices on your old customers, but you can up your prices on new customers if you and old ones if you want to. You could get to the point where, yeah, everything is just like a big snowball. Like it just started out as a small snowball, but the momentum just keeps building and building, and that's how you're gonna do it. Like nothing is built overnight that's worth like having. So you're not gonna build your empire overnight, and you're not gonna have one viral video or ad or picture that makes you popular. So you need to be consistent, and you need to care about these people that are hitting you up, and take time to really like individually like communicate with them as a person, and not just as like a person that has money that wants to possibly spend money. And some people, that's all they are, and that's all they're gonna be. And but let them dictate that. Don't dictate that yourself, and don't assume anything of anybody. Sometimes people are ignorant and they need a question answered, and like you answering it in the wrong way could potentially lead you away from a customer that is going to spend thousands of dollars. I've had it happen a lot of times. People come in and they're like treated badly by another tattoo artist for their idea or whatever. I didn't like their idea either, but we end up agreeing on something because of the way I talk to them, and then I end up with a client worth thousands of dollars. So that's my take on that for you today. I hope that you can take away from that, and that you go and make your ad, and you find your own people, and that you're able to do the same thing, because I think there's plenty of room in the industry for everybody, and that all of us are definitely like not in a limited kind of thing. Like there's not just like so much meat on the bone here. We're all not fighting over the same meal. There's no reason to be greedy or angry, or to keep anything from anybody. So that's why I'm making this podcast, and that's why I'm hoping that you find it, and that you find it helpful. And yeah, follow me on Instagram, follow me on Facebook. Instagram, it's Ponyboy Tattoos and Iron Tiger Tattoos. And then on Facebook, you can find my shop, Bryan Briggs Iron Tiger Tattoos, or you can just look me up. My name's Bryan Andrew Briggs on there. Yeah, it might be a little harder to find, but Bryan Andrew is my first name. It's like two names put together. So that's a little bit weird, I guess, but you'll find me if you look for me. And if you find the shop, then you'll find me. You could add me personally too if you're listening to the podcast, because there's only like a few hundred people anyways. So like I don't mind like being personal and like making this connection, and being more one-on-one with each of you if you have questions, or like like if you just want to like maybe talk or whatever about like technique or something like that. Maybe you have like some kind of input, or you're going to be at a convention I'm going to be at, like hit me up. I think the more that we could make this community like friendly, and all about like total growth, like together, and making the standards higher and everything, then everything's going to be really good for everybody. So don't have a negative outlook on the industry, and don't try to think that the best years are past, because the best years are yet to come, because we're going to make the tattoo industry better than ever because of all the great influence we have, and all of the like starry-eyed dreams that we're filled with. So you guys keep on dreaming, and keep on living, and keep on loving. Take it easy.